division. This is a alternate algorithm or way to long division. So we're going to start off with 68 divided by 2. So we make what's called the key. We're going to do 2 times 1 and 2 times 2, 2 times 4, and 2 times 8. And those are the only numbers that we're going to use. Now, before we get too much further, let me explain that division is putting into groups. We're going to put 68 into groups of 2. So we're going to make the biggest number of groups that we can. And so we're going to look for the number either 2, 4, 8, or 16 that can fit under the 68, the biggest one possible. So it turns out that the biggest number we can put is a 4. And 4 is 2 times 2. It's 2 groups of 2. We're going to multiply our groups very quickly. Instead of 2 groups, we're going to make 20 groups. 20 groups of 2 is 40. So we've created 20 groups of 2. And we have 28 left over. So again, we're going to go back to our key, and the biggest number we can put underneath there is 2, which is 2 times 1. So instead of just making one group, we can multiply that quickly by making 10 groups. We now have 8 left over. 8 is 2 groups of 4. So we only have 4 more groups we can make. So far we've made 20 groups, and then we made 10 groups, and we're going to make 4 more groups because 8 is 2 groups of 4. So the idea with doubling division is to simplify the size of our groups and determine how many groups we make. So in the end, we're going to count up how many groups we've made. We made 20, and then we made 10, and then we made 4. So I'm going to highlight our groups so we can count those up. So 20 plus 10 plus 4, we made 34 groups, and it came out perfectly. We didn't have any left over. There's 34 groups. That would be the same answer we would get if we used long division. Our next example is going to be 2,568 divided by 8. So we're going to make our key. 8 times 1 is 8. 8 times 2 is 16. 8 times 4 is 32. And 8 times 8 is 64. So these are the predetermined sizes of our groups. If we have one group of 8, we're going to take up 8. If we make 2 groups of 8, it's 16. If we make 4 groups, it's 32. And if we make 8 groups of 8, it's 64. But you're going to see that we're going to multiply these by tens or hundreds, or even thousands sometimes. So 16 is 2 groups of 8. But we can quickly multiply that by 100 because we have 2 open spots. So that's not 2 groups of 8, but 200 groups of 8. So of the 2,568, we've used up 1,600. And we have just 968 left to put into groups. So from our key, 8 is the biggest number. That's one group of 8. We can quickly multiply that by 100, and we've made 100 groups of 8. And then the reason we subtract is to figure out how many left we have to put into a group. Looks like a 16 will fit underneath what we have left over. That's 2 groups of 8. But if we multiply that by 10, we have 20 groups. We have just 8 left over, so that's just one more group of 8. So when you either have nothing left over or not enough to make another group, then you count up how many groups you've made. (200 plus 100 is 300, and 21. So we've made 321 groups. It looks like long division, but it's limited in what we use to create the group size. So you can write what you understand to be true about doubling division. I just wrote division means making groups. Okay, let's do one more example. A little bit larger. Let's do 6,978, and we'll put it into groups of 12. So we make our key. 12 times 1 is 12. 12 times 2 is 24. 12 times 4 is 48. And 12 times 8 is 96. We always make 1 group, 2 groups, 4 groups, and 8 groups, each time doubling. So 48 will fit underneath the 69. That's 4 groups of 12. We quickly multiply that by 100 for 400 groups of 12. We have 2,178 left to put into groups of 12. 12 fits underneath it. That's 1 group, which quickly is going to turn into 100 groups. Subtract away the 1,200 to see what we have left. We have 978 left. The 96 is going to fit underneath that, which is 8 groups. And when we add the 0, that multiplies it by 10 for 80 groups, with 18 left over. We can make 1 more group of 12, which is just 12 times 1, with 6 left over. So we're going to gather together all the groups we made, 400 plus 100 plus 80 plus 1. So that's 581. We do have 6 left over, and we'll just call that a remainder. So 581 with 6 left over that couldn't be put into a group.